Hello everyone, today, we will have a special journey, where stories about the ocean and the art of catching eels will come to life. Surely, when mentioning the ocean, everyone imagines a vast, immense space, where white-capped waves crash on the shore and the salty wind blows into every corner of the soul. But hidden deep under those deep blue waters is a rich world, where creatures like eels live and thrive. Catching eels is not simply a profession to make a living, but also a part of tradition, a story about the patience, perseverance and love of the sea of fishermen. In this video, we will explore two extremely interesting and challenging methods of catching eels, the long line method and the tube trap method. Each technique has its own unique features and demonstrates the dexterity and sophistication of hands familiar with the wind and waves. Longline fishing is one of the most important tools in eel fishing. But don't think that using a long line is as simple as dropping bait and waiting for the eel to bite. To carry out this method effectively, the fisherman needs to have a thorough knowledge of the ocean currents, seabed topography, and biological habits of the eel. First of all, long fishing lines are often made of special materials that can withstand the strong pressure of seawater and the resistance of giant eels when they are hooked. Fishermen cannot just choose a type of fishing line, but must depend on the conditions of the sea area they are working in. In places with strong ocean currents, the fishing line must be very strong, while in calm waters, they can use a lighter type of line so that the bait can drift naturally and attract eels more. Bait is also an indispensable factor in sea eel fishing. Eels are often attracted to fresh bait such as small fish, shrimp or sea creatures with special scents. Before starting the eel fishing journey, fishermen often have to carefully prepare the bait. Sometimes, choosing bait is like preparing a sumptuous meal to invite guests. Because eels are very picky and cunning, when everything is ready, the fisherman will board the boat and begin the journey to sea. The fishing location must also be carefully selected, based on the fisherman's experience and understanding of the sea. Areas with many crevices of reefs, or places with thick layers of sand are ideal places for eels to hide. Once the fishing spot is reached, the long fishing line will be dropped into the sea. Dropping the fishing line is not a hasty task. The fisherman must drop the line carefully, ensuring that the bait can reach the area where the eels live without scaring them. While waiting for the eels to bite, patience is of the utmost importance. Sometimes, the fisherman has to wait for hours, even a whole day to see the signal of the eel biting the hook. But when the time comes, the feeling of pulling the line is an experience like no other. Eels are not easily subdued, they pull hard and struggle, requiring the fisherman to be really skillful in adjusting the pulling force, avoiding breaking the line or the eel escaping the bait. It is truly a battle between man and nature. Where human ingenuity and perseverance are tested to the maximum. Longline eel fishing is not always smooth sailing. Every trip out to sea is fraught with difficulties and risks that fishermen must face. The sea is a place that is always changing and unpredictable. There are days when the sea is calm, favorable for fishing, but there are also days when big waves suddenly arise, making pulling the fishing line extremely dangerous. When high waves crash against the side of the boat, keeping balance and pulling the eel becomes a real challenge. Sometimes, the waves are so strong that they break the fishing line, causing the fisherman to lose a whole day's work. Not only that, other sea creatures such as sharks or large fish can also appear unexpectedly and hinder the fishing process. Eels are not the only creatures that live on the seabed, therefore, when a long fishing line is dropped, it can attract the attention of other fish. Dealing with these unwanted creatures requires fishermen to be really calm and know how to handle it quickly. They need to know when to continue and when to stop to protect their safety and the boat. In addition, handling the fishing line also requires skillful techniques. A line hundreds of meters long when pulled up can get tangled or entangled. And if not careful, fishermen can be in danger when the line tightens their hands. Just a small mistake can cause injury immediately. And that is why fishing for eels is not for those who lack experience or caution. Although there are many difficulties and challenges, the joy and excitement of pulling big, each eel caught is a proud achievement. Eels have high economic value and are popular in many seafood dishes. Therefore, catching eels not only helps improve the income of fishermen but also brings pride in the profession that they have been attached to from generation to generation. The ocean has fed countless fishing families, and each successful trip is a gift from nature. Besides the long line method, tube traps are another technique that is very popular and effective in catching eels. This method does not require as much strength as pulling the line, but requires ingenuity in choosing the location and setting the trap. Tube traps are often made from bamboo tubes. Plastic tubes or even metal tubes, depending on the conditions and marine environment where the fishermen operate. Tube traps work based on the living habits of eels. Eels are a species that loves to hide in narrow crevices, where they feel safe from the threat of predators. Tube traps are designed so that when the eels get inside, they will not be able to turn around to escape. Setting the trap requires the fisherman to understand the currents and terrain of the seabed. Fine sand areas or coral reefs are ideal places to set traps, because that is where eels often hide and feed. Preparing the trap is an extremely important step. Fishermen must ensure that the trap is sturdy and can withstand the pressure of the seawater. The trap tube must be large enough for the eels to enter, but not so large that they can easily escape. One of the keys to effective eel trapping is using the right bait. Similar to the fishing line method, the bait is usually an attractive-smelling sea creature, such as a small fish or live shrimp. The bait is placed right at the entrance of the trap so that the eels can easily detect and enter. Once the trap is prepared, the next step is to choose a suitable location to set it. This is not a simple task, because eels do not appear randomly but usually reside in areas with specific characteristics. Experienced fishermen know that careful study of the terrain and biological characteristics of eels is a decisive factor in success. They will often target areas with many coral reefs, rocky crevices or calm waters with thick sand. These are the places where eels like to go to find food and shelter. Setting traps is an art. Fishermen must know how to take advantage of the flow of seawater so that the bait can emit an attractive scent, attracting eels from afar. When the water current carries the scent across the seabed, eels will easily find and enter the trap. Another important thing is that the trap must be carefully camouflaged so that the eels do not realize that they are falling into a pre-prepared trap. This requires the skill and extensive experience of the fisherman. Fishermen often set traps in the late afternoon or early morning, when eels are most active. After setting the trap, they may have to wait several hours or even a whole day to check the results. Patience is indispensable, and each time checking the trap brings a feeling of excitement. When seeing the trap has caught big, strong eels, all fatigue seems to disappear, giving way to joy and satisfaction. One thing that makes fishing more interesting and attractive is the dramatic and touching real-life stories. Every trip to sea is a journey with unpredictable challenges and surprises. For example, there are times when fishermen have to face bad weather, sudden storms that make the work of setting traps more difficult than ever. They recount that, in those times, the spirit of solidarity and courage is what helps them overcome all dangers. Rowing together, they not only protect themselves but also protect the traditional values that they have inherited from their ancestors. There are also times when eel fishing becomes an underground competition between fishing boats. Whoever catches more eels will become the pride of the whole fishing village. Laughter, jokes and excitement while waiting for the results create a bustling and vibrant atmosphere. This is when people feel the community spirit and strong love for the sea. Although eel fishing brings many economic benefits to fishermen, they also understand that protecting the marine environment is extremely important.